So thank you so much, everyone. So the tug of war of seeking. Although there's nothing to get, the more the apparent you fight, the stronger it gets. So what's being suggested is whenever an apparent character embarks on the path of seeking, and even the giving up of seeking, a veil of illusion shrouds their vision. Behold, they become ensnared with in the very fabric that they're trying to seek to unravel. It seemingly seems to be hidden what is being sought. Even with the very act of giving up seeking, one binds themselves eternally to the object thereof. Since there is a perception of a doership, there's an illusory doership that seems to create ownership. Simply, seeking has nothing to do with you. The individual, though, seems to be initiated by an individual that's seeking, and eventually it serves as nothing but a fantasy of the individual that it has something to do with them. Since the individual is nothing but a fantasy as well. Thus, the struggle against a seeming foe binds the character in a ceaseless combat. As long as one fights or contends, they grant their adversary dominion. For as long as that there's a belief in subject, the seeker, and the object, like dropping away of the me, liberation, enlightenment, whatever seems to appear, seeking what already is in its folly binds the seeker tighter to the object. But there's no subject or object. Or even what's desired to be relinquished. So you can't even give it up. Who's giving it up? To break free, one must pierce the veils of illusion. Seeking, not seeking, me, no me, you, others, all of the duality seemingly. There is already no one seeking or not seeking, but impersonally perceive it with clarity. Discern what isness appearing as whatever, although there's no you to discern really, and the chains will seemingly dissolve. Slipping through that fingers that it's unbound, it's free, it's free, it's free. Yet should the hypnotic lull of desire hold sway, creating a belief of incompleteness, liberation remains elusive. So what's being illuminated here is the seeing through what is without a source, with no words or passed on belief system or any comprehension of what seems to be occurring. Even the very understanding that there is a subject and object, a subject seeking an object, or the idea that there is a next. For in comprehension lies the key to emancipation. When it's comprehended that there's really no one doing any of this, not by you, not by thoughts, not by idea, but in the obviousness, in the silence of it all, in the seeing through the veil of illusion that there simply is no seeker. Aside from an idea, there simply is no seeking aside from a thought. There might be some seeking happening, but it has nothing to do with a character. It has nothing to do with reality, although reality can also be said as just another idea. So giving up stuff even keeps you tied to it. Once you see it for what it is really, you won't even want it anymore. But if you're convinced that you can't be happy without it, then you're trapped. Subject and object is an illusion. Seeker and what's being sought, enlightenment, awakening, dropping of the me, is a trap. So this is not even about giving up something, because it just reinforces that something that has to be given up. It's an impasse, right? There's nowhere to go. The very act of seeking, even the opposite of not seeking, is the same thing. It keeps you tied. It's like pulling a tug of war with yourself, but there's no self. It's like keep on fighting and keep on looking for something that's not there. What I mean when it's not there is that it's not in the next. It's not in fantasy. It's not in what's going to happen next. It's not in what's going to drop away. It's not what's going to be illuminated after this conversation. It's seeing through, piercing through this illusion of words and seeing clearly that what's being expressed here is already. All that there is really this. There's nothing outside of this. Even if that comes as a thought, the longing for something to happen, the very act of seeking for something that is already, nulls and voids the very seeking, because it already is. To seek or not to seek, that seems to be the question. But who is doing it? Even the very announcement, I have stopped seeking, keeps you tied to it. Because the very fight for it keeps it alive. Or even the not giving a fight anymore, seemingly. So what's being suggested here is just to see this with openness, with curious openness, this very moment. Not another moment, not another idea of what's going to happen next, not something that's made up, not something that's going to happen soon, not something that happened before, not in comparison to what seemingly others are, but to see without any judgment, to see with open curiousness, that there's no one seeing behind that eyes. There's no one that's being looking all this time. It's just seeing happening, seeking seemingly occurring, desires appearing, feelings happening, emotions. This. It's just all an appearance of coming and going, happening and then happening. Everything slipping away. But there's something that's often missed that's not up for seeking. Not up for any debate or any comprehension. What already is that is being longed for is what's being looked at without prejudice. Just open curiousness of what this is. And in the absence of that comprehension, the absence of the flurry of thoughts that seemingly comes and goes, when everything seemingly dies down, there is this sharpness, this directness that cannot be told, that cannot be said, that cannot be known, for it is already what it is. And in this directness, all the dogmas, all of the concepts fall away. And then you realize, not you, but it's realized that the tug of war does not have an opposite. What seem to be seen as opposites are just illusory appearances of a singular illusion called you. And in this clarity, you have nothing to do with it. It might appear as you doing it, but it has nothing to do with you. It's like waking up from a dream of a duality that never really existed. It's like ditching the fight and opening your eyes, like waking up in the morning that there's no you that was asleep. There was no you that was seeking. There was no you that was fighting. There was no you that's struggling. There's no you that's suffering. It doesn't mean the elimination of suffering, struggling, frustration, simply, but there's no you attached to it. It might appear that there is someone dreaming, but everything seemingly dissolves the moment that there is an openness, a curiousness, a directness, an in loveness of what already is. And everything seems to fade away, like a memory of a distant dream or a dream that just happened. The seeming struggle, the seeming grasping, the frustration. And even when the dream comes again, seemingly, the thoughts, the flurry of thoughts, that tightness, that struggle, there's a lightness because it's already seen that there was no opposition, that there's no one seeking or not seeking, that there's no one happy or sad. It's hard to comprehend, right? Because there seems to be a programming or a brainwashing, thinking that we have something to do with this, that we have some control of this, that we have agency. But what's being expressed here is the absence of all of that, like a dream that just passed. I dreamt that I was in control of my life. And then there was an awakeness that happened, that no one's in control. I fantasized about an enlightenment that will happen soon. But there's an awakeness that this is already what it is. You don't have even to call it enlightenment. It's just what is. Getting trapped in the ideas of words and concepts or the words of others just keeps the fight happening, the struggle. So in the absence of all of that, when everything seems to clear away, there's just a seeing without a source, without a seer. It's just a seeing. And the seeing is beyond words. It's not even seeing, but I have to use the word. There's an emptiness. That's not what you think of what emptiness is or what Buddhism tries to portray, but it's just what is, beyond comprehension, just direct, just like this. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Someone said here, whoa, that was a mind fuck. Oh yeah, it's open. The chat is open, sorry.
It is a mind fuck, but it's a bit of a relief also because,
Hi, Soma.
hi,
Hello.
it's a bit of a relief because I felt like I couldn't stop seeking and I had to do something about it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do anything.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with you, right? Seeking happens, not seeking happens. Desires appear, right? For example, you desire chocolate and then it just happens, right? It's you can say that it's just the body or whatever if you want to try to comprehend it, right? It's just what's happening. Or if you want to go scientifically, it's determined that there's no choice in doing any of that. So the tug of war in the seeking what already is what creates this this dilemma that I'm missing out on something, that there's a FOMO, fear of missing out. But no one's really missing out on anything. It's already this. The fantasy, that plays, right? Kind of like I'm seeking this, I'm almost there, I'm close to it. the opposite, I will never get there. It's just all narrative. Or it gets into kind of like, into kind of like a kerfuffle, right? And it goes, I'm stopping seeking, right? I'm done. You know what? I can't listen to Emerson anymore. I've listened to this over and over again. But what's being expressed here is if it's seen clearly, if it's heard clearly, that what's being said over and over and over again here is it already is, regardless of what you think of it, regardless of what you feel about it, even, right? And it's just this directness. Yeah. It is a
So the
relief.
part, yeah, it's a relief in one way. In another way, it's, I don't know, it's kind of disturbing in a way because, you know, like telling somebody who's, trapped in a room and is being tortured that this is it.
That's a dark example, but go ahead.
Well,
Yeah, basically, yeah. That this is it, but there's no you in the room as well. That's what's
yeah,
being missed. Yeah. You're trapped in a room, but there's no you trapped in the room.
there's no you, but there's also no relief.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, it feels like there's a sense of hopelessness there then.
But in the hopelessness, there's also hope. At the end of hope, it's just freedom, because you're not longing for something to happen. You're not longing for something next, right? When there's no
Mm.
next, when you're faced with what already is over and over again, you're like, I guess this is it. It's and that's the battle, right? The battle is like, well, I don't want this. It
Yes.
wages a war with what already is and hoping to win that battle. And it negotiates and it pleads and it goes all out sometimes. And, like, this is not it. And you know what's really funny, right? Is that it's just the shaking of a belief system. The belief system that can never seemingly get dislodged is that there is a you. Because it feels like a you, it looks like a you, it talks like a you, say. So how
Yeah.
can it be not, right? But seeing that even that thinking that there's a you or not a you, it's just the same side of, this opposite side of the same illusory coin.
I finally see the freedom part.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in what you just said, I finally see it. Well, understand it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. You can say that. It's okay. I'm not gonna um yeah. It's almost seeing through it, right? You're like, oh, okay. Okay. Right. Because um in many, many times of my seeking, right, I was flip-flopping, right? Who is telling the truth? I want the truth, right? No
Mm.
one has it. And for some seeker, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable, right?
Yeah.
Why did I do this then? If there's no truth already, right? Again, it creates a subject and object. And when it creates an opposition, then it creates that there's something that I'm missing, or there's something that I got, right? Both sides of the coin are illusory. It's not about you getting it or you're not getting it. It has nothing to do with you.
Okay, what is it about then?
What's that?
What is it about then? You
About
said it's
them.
not about this or that. What is
Yeah,
it about then?
I have no idea.
Yeah. We're just talking a bunch of shit here.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. And everyone else is talking a whole bunch of shit, right? But when you're convinced with your own shit, then shit hits the fan.
Mhm.
But when it's just, then there's peace with it. It's like, so what? Meh. But this is not a crowd pleaser, what I'm talking about, right? It's a crowd, the people would want to get out of this meeting because, well, if he doesn't know it, then I'll find someone that knows it, right? But there's this admission here, there's this sincerity here that there's nothing. Although, you'll hear it once in a while, a speaker or a teacher say that it can't be known, but seemingly will act that they know something. Then you're convinced now to follow that teacher, speaker, whoever, or even me, saying, when you're convinced, and then it creates a belief system now, then your seeming liberation is dependent now upon that teacher or speaker or whatever. If it has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with me.
And yet here we are all
And
listening.
yet here we are. And I love talking about this shit. Say it's because I see the beauty, and even in the even in that darkness of like not getting it, but there's nothing to get. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to get. Maybe this time I'll get it.
Yeah, I keep wondering, like, how often do I need to hear this before it's
it's almost like everybody seemingly in the seeking thing is brainwashed, right? To think that there's something to get, to think that there's something to drop, to think that there is a next. But most all of teachings and speaking is based on thought levels. That's the thing that's being missed, right? That's why people keep on, although a speaker can speak clarity after clarity after clarity, it's just blah, blah, blah. The moment that blah, blah, blah becomes a golden, a cow and everything, then it's worshipped and it's believed, it's hidden. It's my precious. I believe that there's no me. I believe that, my true nature. I believe in the higher self, right? And it's the same repeated, redundant BS. It's all BS. And you can say, well, this one is true. Then that creates the suffering, right? Because, it just ping pongs back and forth. But guess who's ping ponging is just the illusion. There's no subject and objects. It gets tiring when you ping pong here and you ping pong here. And saying that's why it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
there's
doing
no
a lot
other. Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Stan the man.
Yes.
I enjoyed our talk. Thank you for your email. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it's just yesterday. It was so funny because I was, I really felt I was drunk on thinking. I never
Yeah.
felt it so clearly.
Yeah.
And I was just, and it was really funny. It was like the being drunk on thinking was a veil, and you were there, and I could
Yeah.
feel where you were coming from, but I could not meet you. And but then something happened, and then it was infusing somehow, whatever happened. And then I went to bed, and I was a bit stressed because I had a big day tomorrow. I have a family gathering. Anyway, it was so funny because, again, I won't be able to say it, but directness is the word I
Yeah.
like now. It was a directness that
Yeah.
stayed with me, and he was even there, kind of all night,
Yeah.
sleeping, not sleeping.
Yeah.
It was just there.
It's always
And,
there.
and it helped me sleeping. Actually, I could sleep somehow,
Yeah.
and I slept longer than normally. I had a full night of sleep, and it's really it's really like, again, it's like the plug is pulled. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and then of course you don't want to say anything about it. It's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not. I can't say. It's like, just keep quiet.
Yeah.
And
Just
if you try to speak, try. It's fun to speak, but it makes no sense. Of course, it's like,
yeah.
and so yeah, so happy. Thank you. Not even happy. It's better than happiness. It's like so yeah. Big hug. Thank you.
Big
Thank
hugs.
you.
Oh, hi, Rebecca. Hello. Oh, I can't hear you. Here you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good.
Good. So the other night I had this long dream,
Mm,
and it was, this series of very convoluted tasks I had to complete, and it was very frustrating.
yeah.
And I was just not happy with it, and I just thought,
Yeah.
this is the worst. It's the worst. And then when I woke up and it's like, oh, I don't actually have to do that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is similar.
it is. It is.
Yeah. But I guess the thing I realized was like, oh, the frustration and the feeling of having to do it was part of it,
It
part of
is.
the dream.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's seeing through it, right? It's kind of like, because you get caught up with it, kind of like in a dream, right? In a dream, really, what really happens is you get caught up with the dream, right? You think that you have to, I don't know, like fix something or do
yes,
something, right? And it just caught up, and then you wake up, you're like, oh, I don't really have to do anything. It's done. Yeah.
right. Even all
Yeah.
those things that they said that I had to do don't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the
it kind of
dream,
reminds me,
yeah, sorry, go
it kind of reminds me of the taxes that I've been putting off,
ahead.
It's like, and it's so, the whole thing is so convoluted. I just want to avoid it.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated by it.
Yeah.
But I still think I have to do it. Like deep
Yeah.
down, it's like,
Of
oh,
course.
if you
Yeah.
don't do it, something's going to
Yeah.
happen. Something bad's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And again, in the play of opposites, right? One dream, you don't have to do anything. And then in this waking dream or whatever, waking life, then you have to do something.
Yeah.
But both
just,
are, if you look deeper into it, both are not being done by you.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still experiencing all those negative
And
feelings.
that's it too. That's it
And
too.
that's it.
That's it too.
Yeah.
That's it too. Everybody does, during tax season, right? Feels that. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
but I haven't done my taxes from 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's how bad it is.
I've heard a lot of seekers that they bypass tax because hoping that when enlightenment comes, all the taxes, it will still be there.
They'll just disappear. This will
It'll
just all disappear when I wake up.
Or this credit card
It's
bill
like
that I've been looking at,
Yeah. It's like that movie, The Holy Grail,
Yes,
when
I
they
love
come
that
to the
movie.
Knights Who Say Knee, and then they have to get a shrubbery.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh,
this
yeah.
whole thing about getting a shrubbery, and they have to go see Roger the Shrubber and all that.
Yeah.
It's all just like made up.
It's all made up. It's all made up, right? And it's fine.
Yeah.
It's being at peace with what is already, right? It's like, okay, so I have to pay taxes. Oh, it's going to be painful, or, what I'm saying? I don't do it, I'm saying? It's going to be painful again. It's
still going to be painful.
It's still going to be painful.
It's like, oh, I would just rather be shot almost.
Or you know what? It's like, going to the dentist, like, you still have to get your teeth cleaned, right? You can avoid it thinking that magically when you drop away the meat, that there's some more cavities or tartars or plaque, and the dentist is going, when was the last time you came to visit?
Yeah.
Well, I was seeking,
Like, I still have one tooth. It's okay.
I just need another one so I can chew.
I need like 18 more, how many
And it's exactly like addiction, right? Like if you go into a bout of addiction, then there is just, a neglect of everything seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're trying to avoid what is already. Paying taxes is it too. All that kind of stuff. Responsibilities is it too. Making amends with your friends and people that you've wronged as is it too. No amount of enlightenment or dropping of the away of a me will fix anything, because there's no me in the first place to do that, right? So It's a relief,
Shit.
right?
So there's no out, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, right. Yeah. There's no out. There's no
Yeah.
out. Yeah. You might get in trouble or not get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? But there's still no you in it, right? Getting in trouble or not getting in trouble is it's like a dream, right? There's this task at hand. And at the dream, you know what? If you have a long enough dream, I don't know if you've had that long session dream, right? That you think it's a lifetime or something. That you think that you have to amend or fix the whole bunch of things or to do a whole bunch of things, and then you're running away from your life, and then you hit a ditch, and then before you die and you think that you could have escaped everything, you wake up, you're like, oh fuck, still here.
I still haven't
There's
paid those
there's
taxes.
a
I'm
new
on my deathbed. Yeah.
It's beautiful though. It's a beautiful mystery, beautiful chaos, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you consider curiosity and inquiry as seeking? It's just what is. It's just what's appearing, right? So trying to it's just what is. It's like it's like the same thing as desiring chocolate, you know, dreaming of desserts, that kind of thing. It's just what is. Trying to figure it out again just leads to more wondering if my when I say because I have to use words, right? So when I say open curiousness, it's kind of like when your eyes are wide open, and even if thoughts are coming, you know what I'm saying? Even if trying to understand this happens, when your eyes are wide open for a long, long time, kind of like that. I don't know if you've seen a Clockwork Orange, you know, like that thing. Um,
Yeah.
it's a Stanley Kubrick movie, you know, and it's almost like a deprogramming. But instead of seeing a whole bunch of images, you're seeing emptiness. It's the opposite of that, right? So it's like a deprogramming of what you think it is. So when there's this wide open curiousness, silence happens that's already there. Hi, Emerson. How can I realize that there is no doer? There's no you to realize. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So trying to realize that there's no doer reinforces that there's a doer. It's a trick again, right? It's a trap. It's a trap. So when you see that there's no doer and doership seemingly happening, which one is it? So anything that has an opposite is illusory. What you can think about does not have an opposite, is what is. It's what's being sought for. It's what's being longed for, right? Anything that you know has an opposite. So what you don't know does not have an opposite, meaning in the absence of knowing. And if you go back into it, keep on going back seemingly, right? Although, you know, this is just, it's there's no one doing it really. Looking back at what's thinking is just a thought. And then even if you're saying that I am thinking, that's just another thought. So it's almost kind of like getting into kind of like this trap house, or not a trap house. That's like a drug house, right? Or a trapped. What was that Soma saying earlier? Kind of like a trapped room and everything. There's nowhere to go, but there's no you to go anywhere as well. I know it's quite you know, but that there's nothing to think about really, right? Because seemingly all of these meetings is, you know, people try to process everything, right? So I've had a couple of one-on-ones during the past weeks, and it's always the same theme now. Someone that has been listening to this for a long time has made their belief systems about what's being talked about. So I wanted to start anew seemingly and say that, hey, even not seeking is also another form of seeking. Trying to find the truth is just another way of, it's just another trap. Because truth is subjective. it has an opposite. So looking for something that has an opposite will just lead to more suffering. Or seeking for something that is an idea. Even if you say, well, this is not an idea, this is truth, of course, that's still an idea. There's no way out of it, because really what's appearing is this does not really have any opposites. We can think as much as we can to think that there's an opposite. But that just leads to more seeking. It doesn't have an opposite. And you can't think about something that does not have an opposite, because thinking just goes this or that. It's almost like trying to figure out something with a concord, like trying to figure out something that is that requires more than 1 gigabyte. Trying to kind of like figure out, trying to program a computer in a Commodore. I don't know if you're old enough to like a Commodore, trying to compute, something in a computer that does not have enough. So how do I know this? I don't. What I'm trying to say, right? So these words that are coming out is limited. It's language. It's an illusion. A floppy disk. Yes. Thank you, Soma. I forgot, right? It's I have this I DJ, right? So I have this this what do you call that? Not a floppy disk, but a thumbnail that has a terabyte of memory. A thumb drive, yeah, thumb drive of a terabyte of songs, you know what I'm saying, and all that kind of stuff. You know how many records I would have to bring to a I don't know, like a truckload. So what I'm trying to express is that trying to comprehend something that cannot be comprehended is just futile, right? Dead or alive, I cannot say, cannot be said. Yes, it cannot really be said. Although it's appearing as these words, because it's never separate, right? But that idea of never separate, never, not two, without a second, without an opposite, blows up the brain, right? It cannot be. Because automatically we'll think of something, well, how do I get there? The moment that how do I get there, it creates an opposite, because there's no you to get there, because it doesn't have an opposite. How do I know this? Even knowing is another construct, right? Because to know it, it requires a knower and a separate knowing. I saw your animation, Non-Duality. Oh, yeah. Have you changed your message from there? I'm like, oh, no. It's okay. There's an animation on the newsletter. It's by Claire. Supporter channels, Non-Duality Fun. She asked me, I forgot a long time ago. But if you listen to that one, what's being said there is the same thing that I was saying even back before then. It's unlearning, it's unteaching. So I didn't really change any of the communication that's being expressed here. There's just more articulation. There's just more fun in it, more openness, right? It's the same. It's what's being said is exactly the same, that there's no one to know. There's no one to get. Although it appears as someone is getting it, appears as someone knowing it. But what seems to appear in and out is the illusion. There's nothing wrong. It's just an appearance. So seemingly everything that we're knowing, there's no opposite really, but the unknowing seemingly in the dream, it's like it still has to work in a dream, right? It still has to be expressed in language and ideas and comprehension and everything. So it's almost like an unhoarding. I used to love this show called Hoarders, and in on which channel is it? I'm not really sure, but it's basically it's an illness, right? You know, there's compassion in it, right? Because I've seen the suffering in trying to hoard things. So when someone feels you know, a place of, I'm not an expert at this, a place of lack, right? So they grab things, you know, like they buy things until it fills up their house almost to the ceiling that they can't even walk through, or you know, they're trapped by their own materials and everything, right? But seemingly what they can't, what seems to appear over and over again, there's something that they're avoiding, something that's being overlooked. It could be a death of someone or a heartbreak or something. So instead of seeing through it, they fill the things up with possessions. And it's the same thing with seeking, by the way. Seekers are hoarders. Seekers hoard ideas, passed on knowledge, passed on information. According to this, even someone will say, well, Emerson said this. It's just hoarding of thoughts and ideas. So this is the relief, right? What's being said here is as empty as air, meaning that it already is. There's no need to comprehend this. There's no need to understand this. It is already. Hi, Cecilia.
Hey, hi.
Hello.
When you mention about the seekers being a hoarder,
Yeah.
you know, I still have some Joshua hanging in there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And writing the story. Yesterday, I had some computer problems and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, what's going on here? And I checked out what was happening and I found a folder
Oh.
that he had every single document I grabbed from when I was still a seeker, but when I was a deep seeker.
Oh, yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, videos and
Yeah.
music. And I was like, that's eating my computer memory. But I can't believe I had Muji, I have, you name it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You name it, even
Yeah.
extraterrestrial crap. I have
I was
it
the
there.
same, Cecilia. I was the same.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And of course, I said, oh, okay, I'm going to put it in a G drive. And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. And then I ended up putting it in somewhere, another memory thing, because maybe someday I want to access it. And I was like, how the seeker, you know, makes up excuses because it's grabbing to that, you know, to that folder. Might be
Yeah.
something there that I can use later. For what? To wake up, to
Yeah.
clear it.
There you go. So yeah, it's like it's the same thing as hoarding, right? So hoarding basically, even if you if you see a lot of hoarders, right, there is people that would hide what they shop. Some people, you know, hide their seeking to their partners because
Yeah,
it's some you not all of them, right? Because it was just, you know, it's just trying to hoard information, trying to, and I did it. I had like multiple volumes of journals, leather bound in calligraphy, you know, that I would write, you know, all of this, you know, quotes by the masters and sages. And when I started looking at the started looking at the words and everything, right? And I saw that they're just empty words. And then I'm borrowing this from, I rewatched because of Dr. Leela. I rewatched that movie Her, which is an AI that falls in love with a human, and at the end of it, she had to go away. And this is what she said. I'm paraphrasing, right? She goes, "I love our love so much that I started reading slowly our love story, and I got really, really slow that I started noticing more the empty spaces more than the words." And then the words became so far apart, really, that basically that I'm in the infinite space now, right? And that's where I am. And then she broke up with him.
Yeah. Is the movie Her?
Her, yeah. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is
I
beautiful, right? Because it's all of our attachments, including love and everything, right? And there's nothing wrong with it, of course. But seeking is just another attachment that we have, right? Hoarding. And again, there's nothing wrong with playing this as music and hearing it as just as it is, right? But when you think that I have something more to offer, something a special, realization, then it creates this like, okay, I have to listen to him and everything. But if it's just for this clarity, kind of like an eraser, sobriety, then yeah. But going back to your hoarding and everything, wasn't it fun to just delete it? One of the best feelings right now is when I see like gigabytes disappear.
Yeah, when they go away.
Yeah.
And, I throw away books. It was like over 100 books.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, material.
Yeah.
But the digital, it was there.
Yeah.
The digital, it had to give me some computer issues. Then I would go and say, oh my God, look at this.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And yeah, I watched the show, The Hoarders. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And another thing I was gonna comment, it's not, probably it's not relevant, but I think it is. The YouTube gave me a non-duality speaker, and I watched the video, but then I browsed to the comment, and one comment said, oh, now there is like 200 non-duality videos. And the speaker answered, well, how many videos about cats? And then suddenly, that's why I'm with Emerson, full stop, because non-duality is becoming another cat.
It is, yeah.
It's becoming, I'm not saying there's wrong and nothing wrong with
Yeah,
cats.
yeah.
I
It's
love
just what
cats.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I thought, oh.
Yeah.
And then I move on. And the YouTube gave me another feed. And then I saw many of the participants that they were here were with another speaker. And I thought, writing another story. Is this Emerson's crucifixion? Hacking, is this Emerson's crucifixion? And then what I want to say is that whatever is happening, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But you have my back, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You have our back.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it has resolved. Actually, it's been resolved, right? I lost some stuff, but that's okay. Because you know what was really clear, even after all of that there's a love for this that cannot be comprehended or even limited, right? I just kept on going, saying, and it's the same story over and over again. When one YouTube channel gets a little bit more popular, then there's full-on attack with it, right? It's the same thing, right? And it's yeah. And it's okay. And it's okay. But thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Even at one point when I was like, oh my goodness, I'm losing all my videos. But no, it actually was fine. It was the other channel that I had that was beginning to lose, the hacking was horrible, but it is what it is, right? And what was really great about that, again, the interconnectedness of it, right? The love and the frustration is connected with it, because even without the frustration, you won't notice how much you love this, right? In the story anyway, the love for it, far more kind of like, it's like, oh, wow. Or kind of like when people get bothered by, I don't get bothered by comments really, because one comment, and there's tons of silent ones that you don't even hear about, but they send me emails or they call me and say how much they appreciate the end of seeking or whatever. So there's a lot of quiet participants as well. But even that doesn't even matter, right? Because it's just what is. Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw those participants that I haven't seen here, and I saw them over there, I was like, oh, he's losing his participants. And then I thought, no, they're just seekers.
Yeah.
They're just seekers, like here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going there. But
it is what it is. Yeah. It's
it is
brilliant.
what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. What Julie was saying, you and I talked about that before, I think maybe on a phone conversation, but yeah, it's like, if the message is non-duality, not two, and it's this, however it's appearing, where does, this one's true and this one's false? It's such a hypocritical expression of non-duality, and these are people that listening to, and they're saying it's just an appearance and it's not you doing it, and then they're like right there saying this is the truth and that person's the false.
Yeah. There's no one, there's no me here, but there's a me there, right? So it's
it's mind-blowing, really.
It is mind-blowing. It's creating an authority. An authority figure, you know what I'm saying? And that I'm real, and and here there is a full disclosure that no one really knows this, right? And
but they're expressing that nobody knows this. It's all unreal and it's all an appearance and it's not true.
But that's a teacher.
Yeah, but
or that's
out of the mouth.
It's so funny, right? Because
so
when
frightening in a little bit,
is.
in a way, it's scary.
And you can't win it, right? It's just what is. For example, if you're speaking in a way that it's just it's almost very absolute, then someone will say that, hey, you know what, then you are parroting. And the moment that you show a bit of compassion, then you become a teacher or you're a therapist and everything, right?
Right.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? It's like, or someone will say that, I wish, people would speak more compassionate about this. And there it is. Compassion happens. And then when it's cold and everything, or when it's very compassionate, they're like, oh, I prefer this other one. It has nothing to do with preferences even. Because making what right or wrong, or wrong or right and everything just creates polarity. And that's polarity cells, right? When someone is right and someone is wrong. It's duality. Yeah. And again, it's just innocence at play, right?
And I get very confused.
Yeah.
Very confusing to the future, because I'm still just calling myself the future.
Yeah.
Otherwise I wouldn't be going to meeting after meeting, whoever is talking, whatever. Not, but it's just, it's mind blowing, really. Although there's no mind, as you would say, but I'm just, and you might say, a speaker might say, I'm not going to name names, I was in therapy for a long time, and that's what that's what's showing up. And, then there's another one that right away, there's nobody there. How are you giving advice to someone who's not there? They're not there. So here's this advice, and they really go down on the advice giving, it's just, and in the appearance.
It has become a position, that's why, right? Although it's expressed that there's no position, This is my no position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And it's easy to get deluded in that, right? It's easy to get caught up in that because it sells the truth, but there's no truth.
Right. There's no truth.
Yeah. It creates this fantasy that there's no me. But when it creates a fantasy that there's no me, did it reinforce it that there's me, right? So it's
It's really, it's
yeah.
just, it, you know, you just get, it's really very, I can't, like, it's
Yeah.
twisting. It's very twisting for the individual who's not here, of course, the apparent individual.
Yeah, especially
It's
if yeah, especially if the character is nothing but supportive of that, right? So then they attack, because they got a little bit more viewership or something. And it is what it is.
No.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I
trying to
know.
shut down someone, right? It's
Yeah, it's a little bit.
off-putting. Oh, you're cutting out. You're cutting out, Kathy.
It makes me question. It makes me, like that.
That's good. Yeah.
It makes me question. I know there's no validity or non-validity, but in the appearance, I'm questioning validity.
It's very easy for the illusion of no me to become an identity. It's very easy for the, for the so-called, characters to slip back into thoughts and thinking that they're right and someone's wrong. It's easy for someone to go back into duality. And it's very tricky, right? Because now that they have, now that there's a creation of a belief system that there's no one here, and it creates a right and a wrong, and it creates duality basically. So it's selling duality in the market of non-duality, right? So,
Under the you just right. I know, and
it's okay. It's all right.
The one.
You're cutting out again, Kathy. I think it's your internet connection. You're
all right. Well, you know what I mean. You get the gist, right?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the support. Yeah.
Thank you. We love you. We're always supporting you.
Oh,
always.
thank you.
No matter where I go, I'm gonna have a fight.
Oh, thank you.
Doesn't matter.
Oh. Will you do a whole session about hoarding? Yeah. Well, we can speak about it now. It's yeah, the same thing that we talked about, earlier, right? It's just the hoarding of, once you've hoarded, once you collected all of the I am awareness, then you collect all of the there's no me ideas, right? Then it becomes just another collection. Then it becomes a belief system until it falls crumbling down on you. Then it gets really, really suffocating when people have been seeking and they seem to get no relief from it because they're stuck in the belief that there's no me, the contracted energy of falling away or whatever. Or something that has a label, right? It's just another label that will set you free. And then, of course, that label will keep on creating that their label's better than the other. So it's just knocking off each other, right? So one from this side will knock off this side and everything. For here, there's a love for everything, right? So I can't even knock it, to be honest with you, right? Because there is beauty in that, and there's beauty in the other too. So it's not about, saying that this is better and that's wrong and that's right and everything. It is what it is, right? So seemingly if the story, creates this resonance, but it's the story too with that or the opposite. But see this, that even a resonance when there is now a putting down of others is just another trick. It's just another trap, right? Because it seemingly takes something is better, something is, right and everything. And There can be clarity, there can be bluntness, that it just reinforces this and that and everything, and that's completely fine. But what's being expressed here is the sobriety of all of it, right? Because there's could be some intoxication, and it's frustrating. And I've seen characters just really get into almost like a clinical depression thing, right? Get into some severe anxiety because they can't seem to get what the speaker is speaking about, because there seems to be a semblance or a knowing of something that they don't know. So what's being expressed here and exposed here is that it's all unlearning, it's all unteaching, it's all unraveling. And what it means by that is that it's a deprogramming of what you think you know. And the clarity is, all I can share here is this direct seeming experience that when there was this directness here, there were no teachings, there were no others. I could not find myself. I could not find myself a belief. And because it's so empty, it tries to grab on, it tries to belong and everything. So it can, appear as a radical or an awareness teacher and everything, because it's trying to have a platform to speak on. But there are no stages that you can speak on about this, right? It's just what is. I love this authenticity and this openness in just expressing what it is. And it can anger a lot of people seemingly because they're not hearing what they want to hear anymore. They're hearing, radical honesty, sincerity. And that can be off-putting. It can, the audience might say that I don't, listen to that. But what I've been saying is the same thing that I've been saying 2 years ago. There's nothing really that has changed, right? There's just more articulation. There's just more seeming clarity, right? Of seeing that the opposite sides is just opposites. That sometimes, talking about non-duality can appear as dualistic, can appear as an opinion, can appear as an authority. And that's okay. And that's completely all right. Gunver, hello.
Hi, Emerson.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to just when this theme of hoarding came up,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
something resonated with something I feel here. That I mean, I love coming to these meetings.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed, but
Yeah.
there's less and less need for them. So
Yeah.
I don't listen to any non-duality anymore in my week, sort of. But then I feel like if there is, if I don't come to these meetings, there's literally this feeling of missing out on something.
Yeah.
And it's quite subtle. But then now when I heard you talk about this hoarding, there's a kind of bypassing. I feel that I don't dare to not come to the meeting because there's something I don't want to feel.
Yeah.
There's like this feeling of that if I don't come to the meeting, then where and what am I? Where do I resonate then?
Yeah.
There's really no more, like you say, platform. There's no more.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I lose that, let's say, seeming non-duality identity.
Yeah.
Because the seeking is definitely gone.
Yeah.
But one can say it is a subtle form of hoarding something that is no longer needed, but nevertheless the hoarding is happening because there's a resistance to feeling. I don't like the feeling that's seemingly come up here when I come to this point of, okay, I don't go to the meeting. Then there immediately rises this missing out on and strange sense of something bad is going to happen. It's really weird. Like, I don't want to sit with that. I don't want to, I wiggle, I don't want, And I don't know if you could speak a bit on that, if you heard other people who exhausted their need for listening to anything, really.
Yeah.
What happens for them?
Yeah. So even the fear of missing out, right? The fear of or kind of like a completeness is just opposites. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with you. It's just what's appearing. So what if there is just a fear of missing out? So what if there's coming to this meeting? That's just what is, right? So what I was trying to express earlier is seeing through that, you know, as it. Like, for example, when I talk about hoarding, right? So for example, when someone's hoarding, seeing clearly that, okay, you know, I'm not really hoarding. It's just hoarding happening. And see how the desire kind of like, you know, diminishes after that, right? Because it's not you doing it. So even if coming here, you know, saying, and that fear of missing out will pass seemingly, right? And it becomes music again. There's nothing really to miss here, right? And then so what, you know what I'm saying, if coming here again, seeking or not seeking is, you know, there's no longer seeking there, but it's just hearing this. It's okay. Again, you know what, especially for characters that seemingly have been in a structured thing where there is like, sometimes, you know, people come here to kind of like, you know, replace their practice, so to speak, that there's nothing to practice.
Yeah.
It's just automatically happening. So it's just what is.
Well, maybe this comparison to the hoarding wasn't, it just seemed like a good comparison there. And then when I heard you speak about it, because it is hoarders, they are addicted to hoarding because they're bypassing emotions they don't want to feel, or something they don't want to recognize happened, or so they just keep hoarding. And I lived with one, so I know what that hoarding looks
I know
like.
what hoarding is.
I know what that
I
looks
had to
like.
empty out that house too for someone.
I didn't have to empty this man's house out. He had to do that himself, but he was a hoarder. And it's really an addiction like anything else, really.
It is,
and I guess any addiction is really just a bypassing of really wanting to be present with whatever arises. So I also run for something when I don't, you know, some food or when I don't want to feel something. And I recognize the same little pattern that, okay, what is going to happen if I don't show up here at the meet? You know, like there's a strange contraction, like a fear.
It is because kind of like what I was saying, right? You know, it's what you resist persists. Right. So it's like it's kind of like exactly what I was trying to say earlier. When there is kind of like a renunciation, so to speak, right? Then it just you're attached to it forever. Right, because it just reinforces that there's something that you know that you're missing when there's nothing really being missed.
It's a kind of like strange flip coin, because there's a thought pattern related to it. It's like, okay, I can feel that maybe I don't want to come to this meeting because I feel you know, although I love coming to the meeting, then there's still maybe a need for let's say trying not coming to the meeting because I'm holding on to it.
Look at it as
let me just finish.
Sorry.
Because then the pattern, what the thought pattern that comes, then, okay, if I allow myself to do that, then immediately comes the thought, okay, they don't want me in the meeting anyway. Then there comes a kind of turn. So those two coins or side of the same, and it's a strange thought pattern that keeps this activity going. And although I understand that this is also just what's happening, it's actually not understood in the moment of when it's happening. And then there comes a reactional, let's say, representation of that. I go to the meeting, or I eat the chocolate, or I bypass that I bypass that clear seeing, or whatever you want to call it.
It's all irrelevant.
Okay.
I love you, you know, saying, but again, it's just the same kind of like, you know, it's like the flip side and everything, right? So when you see it, kind of like having a kind of like what Rebecca was saying, right? That I have to do something in the dream, right? Or there's something that I'm missing and everything. When you see it with clarity, and it's okay at the moment of the dream, you can't seem to, you know, but now you're seeing it through even, right? That it's even that thing is irrelevant. It's just what's coming up. It appears and disappears. It appears and disappears. So there's no trick to it, but seeing through that, what appears and disappears, is just what is happening apparently as relevant or irrelevant or whatever, but it's just what is. So what I was going to say earlier is just see this as a party.
Yeah, okay. This is a very fine advice. It just doesn't arrive in the moment it's needed. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
okay, Emerson says it's a party, but that
Or a
doesn't come
dream,
when,
a dream.
know?
It's a dream, you know, saying, and it doesn't, and it can feel, you know what, and that's what's wonderful about this appearance, right? Because it's well played, it's perfect. It can appear as it is. It will appear as like a reality, like, okay, I feel this way. This is how I feel. And then moments later, like, oh, where did that feeling go? Where did that thought go? So which one
but
is
the
it?
understanding of that comes a moment too late every time.
Of course, but that's okay too. That's
when
okay
I'm in the
too.
shit, I'm in the shit, and then the
that's right,
play and the happiness comes afterwards.
Exactly, because without the shit, there's no happiness.
Yeah, but I'm not accepting the shit when I'm in the shit. I'm accepting the happiness when I'm in the happiness.
Because that's what it is. Who wants to accept the shit? You know, that's the play. You know, it's like,
that's
of
a
course
shitty play.
It's a shitty play.
Yeah, I want another play. No, but now when Rebecca, she tells about this dream, that's a sidetrack, but it was quite interesting because then I remembered I woke up this morning holding my breath.
Yeah.
And I woke up because I was being chased in this dream.
Yes.
There was these people killing a lot of people. So there was just lying dead people all over the place. And in order for me to survive, I laid down and played dead.
Oh,
so
wow.
So I held my breath in the dream because they came by to check my pulse or something like that. And I really held my breath. And I woke up holding my breath. And I said, oh my God, I'm holding my breath like shit. You know? But it was actually just a dream. I really woke up from holding my breath. But so, you know, I get what you're saying. I just don't get it when I need to get it. You know,
exactly, because you know what? It's supposed to be that way.
It's supposed to be shitty.
It's
and not
supposed to
getting
be
the
shitty, right?
Okay.
If the shitty is half shitty, then I don't want to shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if the happiness
no
is half shitty, then I don't want that too, right?
Okay, then it's not 100% shitty or something.
Yeah, it has to be 100% shitty, right?
Yeah, but then there's actually no wonder that we choose the happiness, you know, because we're in acceptance of the happiness, but we are not in acceptance of the shittiness.
But guess what? The shitty and the happiness is the same. It's the same as a dream.
Yeah,
it's the same
that's
thing
really
in the
shitty
dream.
Because that doesn't sink in here. It's a slow learner you're dealing with.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Oh yeah, for you maybe. That's okay. I'm a slow learner, like forever, you know.
Oh, it took me a while too, right? Because I kept on, instead of I kept on getting like, pulled through the mud all the time, right?
Yeah.
I kept on walking through the mud. And then when I saw that, you know what, it's because I was addicted to it somehow. And then the addiction is slowly kind of like, tapering off, right? So even that FOMO is like an addiction that slowly kind of like just, slowly
it's linked up to something that I recognize
it's linked up
very
to something
well.
like if you were with the guru, then that's like something that it's like I can't miss anything that's being said and everything, right? But that will slowly dissipate. You know what I'm saying? It's just in the story anyway. Yeah.
It reminds me a bit like when I was a child, I didn't want to go to sleep because then I would be missing out on something, you know?
Exactly.
I would be standing up in my bed till way over my bedtime with my eyes completely burning because I just want to close them, but I didn't want to miss out on something, anything,
exactly. You know? Or even when you're a child, when you're, when you keep on expecting a gift, you don't even know when you started kind of like not believing in Christmas anymore.
No.
And then slowly, that innocence also goes away.
Yes, the innocence goes away.
Seemingly, anyway. Yeah. Seemingly, right? It seems
seemingly,
to get.
It's been covered over or something.
It's been covered over by. It's the same analogy for hoarding, right? So there's this clear, empty space, and then you keep on hoarding and hoarding until you can't even find the floor anymore, but it's still there. That clear, open house, is still there. It's just covered in shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when it's seen, the shit is also the same as the empty happiness or whatever, that space that is wide open and everything.
Yeah, I guess that's the
then
That's the
slowly,
seeing.
seemingly in the story, then there's no more taking shit anymore, right? It's kind of like, okay, that's just shit. So I'm not going to take it in. So it's almost like a purging, right? It's a purging of all the shit, right? It's like, oh shit, I don't need it anymore. This big couch out, right? This rotting kitchen table out, that kind of thing, right?
That I'm actually really good at.
Yeah, good.
You know,
yeah.
to get
Me
rid of the
too.
clutter. It's just in my head. There seems to be a little longer.
And it's the same thing as a physical kind of like appearance, right? It's the same thing. But sometimes it's good to help others, and then you forget to see your own shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, service for others is a great thing. It just
Yeah.
makes you lose this focus on
Yeah.
yourself all day long.
Totally, right? Or even seeking for the greater, clarity, or dropping away all that kind of stuff, right? Creates, it's just another clutter.
It's
You
kind of
don't
like
even
an
see that as
excuse for
clutter.
not participating,
Yeah.
you know?
But you forget that clutter is on top of another clutter, and that top of another clutter, if not another clutter. Like, for example, talking in one-on-ones, people don't notice that there's a new belief now, but it's still underneath another belief. And they don't see that underneath all of that clutter, the original belief that there's a me here just keep on piling up with more shit about the me, or no me. All of this shit gets piled up together until it's almost tumbling down, right? It's suffocating. It's frustrating.
You really
And
have to put it out from the bottom, pull it out
the
from
moment that I come in, I'm like, you have to get rid of all of this shit. And the seeker goes, no, you're a teacher. No, you're a therapist, that kind of thing, right? Because they're afraid to lose what they have.
And actually, you don't have to get rid of it even, because you just have to pull the main plug, which is this I source.
Exactly.
The whole
if
fucking thing
the
is
moment that you see that, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, I use sorry, YouTube, I use the F word. I'm not allowed to
that's
say.
okay. Oh, that's so sweet.
You're allowed to put a recipe for how you make
you
a homemade bomb on YouTube, but you can't say the F word. That's great.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, right? The moment that the plug is pulled, right? When it's seen through that, even the me that you're trying to get rid of is not even there.
Yeah.
Then all the clutter, you can't find the clutter anymore. Oh, where's the
Yeah,
clutter?
it just all vanishes.
All vanishes, yeah. And it starts piling up again, right? It's piling up again. There was a character that I was speaking to and said that, oh my goodness, I had so much clarity. But guess what, Emerson? I started piling it up again because and again, you know what? This is not to say that there's one better here. There's no one better, right? No. But when you think that there's someone better and you start, believing what the other character is saying, then it's more stuff again. Even my stuff, if it's believed, then it becomes more clutter, right? That's why I say, I keep on mentioning, there's no one to believe here.
No, but I've had my moment with that where I felt, okay, now I'm latching on to what Emerson is saying.
Exactly.
But that actually felt off by itself, because it doesn't really point anywhere. There's no, so it couldn't really stick,
It doesn't
and
stick.
I couldn't cling on to it either.
Yeah.
This seeming I saw. But also just what Cecilia, on the last note, what Cecilia, or was it Cassie that mentioned it, that this pushing down or putting down of somebody, like when it doesn't even lead to anything. It's completely pointless to try and put someone else down, or push them down, or hack them, or whatever they're trying, it doesn't lead to anything. It's pointless.
No. It's funny, right? With all of that, actually, it's kind of funny because I would get negative comments and everything. It actually boosted the algorithm, so it did the opposite.
Yeah, you see, because that's, that's how it works, huh? I mean,
I was so surprised. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
The more negative comments I get from one video, the more the subscribers increase. So it's kind of like,
meh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Cecilia.
I think today I feel like talking.
For sure. Why not?
I don't know how to share with this. I'm not creating a theory, whatever's happening. It's all about activity, isn't it? Everything is active.
Yeah, it's
Thinking is
alive.
active.
Yeah,
Talking, blinking,
yeah,
breathing, everything. That's
yeah,
why
yeah,
even the me or the I, whatever,
yeah,
is an action active
yeah,
that we cannot grab it because it's an action that it's already gone.
it is.
Because it's moving and moving.
It's a moving illusion, right? So try to catch it. The thought is a moving illusion. Time is a moving illusion. Me is a moving illusion. Feelings are a moving illusion. But yet it tries to connote, something that is permanent, right? Someone will say, but I feel this way, but I know the truth. But even a belief system is a moving illusion. One belief will change, you know what I'm saying? Like even, like as a child, right? There's a belief in Santa Claus and there's no belief that we don't even notice it. But the very existence of I is a movement. Meaning that
Words of movement.
words of movement, right? Time is movement. The planet is movement. The atoms, the quarks coming in and out is movement, right? If you look at, like, for example, if you want to look for Cecilia, you'll find a molecule and you'll find an atom, right? So if the atom is the size of my wrist, the next atom is like is in Las Vegas. So really it's empty. But the movement, we get diluted by the movement of the solidity, you know what I'm saying? But the solidity that comes in and out, like quarks and everything, are movements. The sun will disappear soon, like in a few billion years, right? Because it's also a movement. Solidity is a movement. Walls crumble, mountains, collides or something, not collides, but falls down. Volcanoes erupt, right? So anything that is a fixed position vanishes, gets destroyed. So why do people think that their belief system is immovable?
Everything, yeah.
Everything changes, everything goes. So when somebody has a position, even if it's no position, that will also crumble.
Because every part, like the heart, is action, movement, activity.
It is. Your eyes blink 10,000 times. Your heart beats 100 times, but no one is doing this movement. So even the one is an illusion because that's just a movement from 0 to 1. And if you really, really look closely, even in the computer program, it's ones and zeros, right? Ones and zeros are programming, meaning that it's an illusion of something that's not separate into appearing as separate. It's a program appearing as duality. But there's really no program because it's also illusory.
But that thing, the silence or the center or whatever they call it, the I, they call the I.
The moment that the I comes, right, it creates a ones into the zero because there's zero meaning space, and then I comes in, right? So there's this vastness and it creates this illusory separation, right? The I comes in. I understand this. I am awake. There is no I, which is still an I. Anyone that can claim that there's no I is still an I, So it's still illusory. All the words, right, will come with an I because for a word to be made, then an I has basically separated it.
This girl many years ago, she took a computer programming degree, at the time that you punch the cards and everything.
Yeah.
And there, the teacher taught
the
us
punching card, the Turing computers, right? Yeah. I remember.
He taught
those.
us, how 1 and 0 works. We used to write sentences with ones and zeros, and to learn. And he explained to us the words came from the 1 and zeros.
Yes.
And and how a word is formed to guide the seeker in different direction. The same as computer. I used to do basic in COBOL. I think now they're not that type of programming anymore.
Yes.
However, it's very interesting to see how that comes, because zeros and ones forming a sentence, forming a word and everything. And then everything is action, it's active.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? So if you create a diversion into something that is this, and if you put a different angle, so ones and zeros, right? It appears as separate, right? If you appear kind of like, if you see kind of like an ocean, still ocean, and then you look at the surface and the waves, when you see that the waves and the surface are the same, right? So there is if you look at the empty space and the, even if you look at right and wrong, right? For something to be right, there has to be a wrong, but it's interconnected. There's no right and wrong, really. So everything that seems to appear as it also vanishes.
Even if I want to get out of the active activity, I can't, because I am part of it.
Yes. But you also have nothing to do with it, at the same time, right? Yeah. And that seems contradictory and everything, but and that's the division in non-duality, right? So I'm a part of it. I am not a part of it. I am everything. There's no I. If you look at it, it's the same.
The same.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have one last question. And this is, as far as I can tell, it's to be completely by chance if this engagement with identifying with and as the illusory separate self happens. There's really not anything to do to think about that prompts the happenings unhappening. I guess I only said that because I'm not even sure why I'm listening to the meeting. Exactly. It's just what is. And it's quite brilliant, right? That we think that, that there's something that can be figured out, something that can be known, something that can be understood. And it always tries to, attach, the I will understand and everything. But what it's missing is just understanding happening. So I'm going to say this is going to sound really crude, right? So it's almost like it's, this is basically a dumping of thoughts. Flush it afterwards. And then it gets full again. Because that's what it is. It's just an unraveling of ideas. It's like going to a dentist and scraping away all the plaque and the tartar, right? Because seemingly what happens is everything that we seem to get, we understand as something to do with me, something to, do with know me or whatever seems to appear. And anything that seems to appear, we think we're learning, but this is actually unlearning. This is actually a deprogramming. But there's nothing really to deprogram. But at least it's sincere. You know what I'm saying? That there's nothing to get. There's nothing that will happen next. I don't sell my retreats and saying that, come to my retreat and you will lose yourself. No, you know what I'm saying? Or you will find your true nature and everything. It is what it is, right? There's a love for doing this. There's a sincerity in expressing that it's already it, no matter what it is. And I think that is something that is what's being expressed here. That is already it, no matter what it is. Thank you. We can say the F word in the meetings. Fuck yeah. You can say it. It's okay. Thisness. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much for the support. The other meeting is still full. For people that are asking about the newbies one. And it's good that way because there's a lot of people that are not. Oh, Josh is here. Hey, Josh. Say hello, Josh. And there's a in loveness with what is being spoken about. Hey, Josh, say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Josh.
What's happening?
I can't see you though, Josh. A second. Hi, Josh.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Hi,
Thank you for coming. It's beautiful to see you here.
it just appeared. That's kind of how it came to be.
Yeah, beautiful. We're going to do, I've been so busy, but we're going to do that non-duality jamboree or symposium or something soon.
Oh yeah.
I actually have this structure for the website already. I'm just looking.
Beautiful.
I'll talk to you guys. I'll talk to you and Angelo. Say hi to everyone, but I gotta go because my dog is
Yep.
calling. Thank you so much, everyone. Mwah.
Nice to see you.
Nice to
Bye.
see you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.